Struggled there with turning the music off. Morning, guys. Welcome to the pre-market overview, August 26th. Today is Wednesday, so happy Wednesday to you all. So just for those that might be new to this, if this is the first time you're watching, my name's Becky. My email address is there, becky@tradewithufos.com, so you can email me on that. If you have any questions about what we covered today. There's also the support team. In fact, those guys are probably better to direct your questions to just because it's a team, so more likely to be able to get back to you quicker. So the email address for those is support@tradewithufos.com. We're all traders on the team, so always happy to help with whatever questions that you have. So again, for those that are newer, just to explain what the pre-market overview is, what's the point, why do we do it? So basically every day, Monday to Friday, we send a newsletter out with information on 4 of the major markets in the world, where we talk about the direction we think the markets are going in, how long we think they're going to go that way for, where we think they might turn, volatility, as well as high impact news that could impact the market. So we go through quite a lot of those, quite a lot of things on the newsletter. And so we do this pre-market overview for 15-20 minutes every morning, just to expand on it a little bit and explain a bit more what we mean, how we came to that conclusions, how we use the technology to tell us these things. So if you want to subscribe to the newsletter and get the document for yourself every day, the email address is newsletter@tradewithufos.com. A quick reminder as well, we do have a You Can Trade app on the App Store. So if you have an iPhone or something, you can download the app if you'd like. So you can get some information on there as well. Just a reminder for those that are joining us from within Tradective. So if you're part of the Tradective channel, just a reminder, today being Wednesday, you have futures and options. So futures at 9 a.m. and then options at 1 p.m. Obviously, Tuesdays and Thursdays is when we normally have stocks and investing sessions, and then sharpening sessions over the weekends as well. For those of you that want to make sure that you understand a particular concept, or you want to go through an element of the methodology, or you have questions that you want answered, the sharpening sessions on Saturdays are the best place to bring those things, because we can answer you sort of verbally and visually rather than typing if you need things answered. And the Sunday sessions, other way around. Sorry, Saturday sessions are psychology and Sunday sessions are the methodology reinforcement. In terms of upcoming live courses, so we have a trading plan class that's coming up this weekend. I'll be taking that. That is Saturday, August 29th is when we start the trade plan class. It's a 2-day class. Then we have the back testing class mid-September, futures towards the end of September and into October, then stocks and psychology moving into October. So you can go to the website to understand more about those classes, but those are the dates that we have there. Now, I need to put the disclaimer on the screen here. I'm not going to read it. It's a long disclaimer. It'd take me a long time. But it is important that you guys have a look at it and that you understand what it's saying. So you can, of course, mute me if you'd like to read it, or you can pause the video and obviously read it there, or you can come back to it later and watch it, or you can go to www.youcantrade.com and get your additional disclosure information on there. Now, basically what we're saying is what we cover in these videos are educational content and ideas. It's not trading tips or trading advice. It's there to be an idea or demonstration as to how we use the technology. Again, if you have any questions on anything, you can email us. Okay, now that we've done that, got that out of the way, let's go and look at the newsletter. So this is the newsletter we send out every day. And we go through 4 of the major markets in the world. We have the S&P, one of the major equity indexes or indices. We have oil and gold, which are 2 of the major commodities in the world. And then we have the euro, which when we look at it is the euro versus the US dollar. That's the highest traded currency pair in the world. So lots of volume moves through these 4 markets, especially the last one. In fact, the US dollar just by itself is responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide every single day. So lots of movement goes through these markets, lots of volume moves through them, which is why we go through these 4. So even if you don't trade these markets specifically, I'm sure what you will trade will be correlated to at least one of the markets that we go through. Now we go through a daily time frame for each of them. Of course, different things happen on different time frames, so bear that in mind. But the daily does seem to fall within what most people do, whether you're a long-term investor or a short-term trader. The daily is a very common time frame to be used. Now, for each of these markets, we're going to look at the climate. By climate, what we mean is trend. What market environment are we in? Are we in an uptrend? Are we in a downtrend? But more importantly to that is what are the probabilities associated with it? So that's why we use our auto climate app to help us with that. We then look at propagating. I've lost my mouse here. Here we are. We look at propagating. Propagating tells us what normally happens in terms of that movement. So if we're in an uptrend, how long does that market normally go up for? And where are we relative to that? If we're in a downtrend, how long does that market normally come down for? And where are we relative to that? So we see on the right-hand side what the statistics suggest, what the probabilities are, what normally happens in these markets. And we see on the left-hand side where we are relative to that movement. So again, it just gives us the statistical probability of a market continuing to move either up or down, and based on where we're at now. Then we want to look at nearest UFOs. So UFO stands for unfilled orders. What that means is where we expect there to be buy orders that could push price upwards, or sell orders that could push price downwards. And where do we see these on a chart? So our Auto UFO app picks these up and shows us on a chart where these buy orders and sell orders are likely to be, so that we can get an idea of where price might be likely to turn. So we go through each of these elements per market, and what we'll also do is come down and look at volatility per market as well. So volatility means how far we expect price to move within given periods of time, or how fast we expect them to move. And we get our numbers here from the current implied volatility column here. Now you'll notice all of these are a percentage. So what these numbers reference is the expected movement up or down in 1 year as a percentage of the current value. So again, it's an annualized number telling us what we would expect in terms of movement in 1 year, and it's a percentage of the value that it is now. From that number, we can then reverse engineer it and understand what we expect in terms of movement up or down in 1 day, what we expect up or down in a week, and what we expect up or down in a month. So again, just giving us an idea of how far we're likely to see these markets move. Now, the current implied volatility numbers, they come from the options of these markets. Options are mainly traded by professional traders, especially in these major markets. And those guys, when they're out there buying and selling options, obviously what they're willing to buy and sell it for is inherent in the risk they're willing to take, which is based on how far they think price will move. So effectively, these numbers reflect a professional opinion in terms of expected volatility. So these numbers, you could say a professional consensus in terms of what we expect in terms of movement. And again, the main numbers are per year as a percentage, and then we do it daily, weekly, monthly from there. So we're going to go through each market and go through each of these elements, and then we're going to come down and look at news. So let's start with the S&P. That's the first one we're looking at. We are using SPX.X. That's the symbol on TradeStation for the index of the S&P. Okay, so this is what we have here. Now we see at the bottom here, this is our Auto Climate app. So the Auto Climate app is analyzing basically trend and market environment for us and giving us the answer in terms of probabilities and direction in the form of 3 different colored dots. That's all we can get from the Auto Climate. So it simplifies it for us. So we either have a thick blue dot, which is what we have here. That tells us that we're in a confirmed upwards climate, meaning the market is in an uptrend, we're in an upwards market environment, and we have probabilities to the upside. It could be a thick red dot. That means we're in a confirmed downwards climate, downwards trend, downwards market environment, and we have probabilities to the downside. Or it could be a thin dot of either color. The color still tells us the direction, but because it's thin, because it's a thin dot, that's the Auto Climate app's way of telling us there are less probabilities here, less statistical advantage, which means most of the time we're going to choose to do nothing on those days. Why would we trade if we don't have statistical advantage? It's all about putting as many odds in our favor as possible. And the Auto Climate app helps us to have odds when it comes to the direction of the market, up or down. Now, when it comes to the Auto UFOs, our closest UFO here, so our closest stack of unfilled buy orders, as shown there by our green UFO, is at 3294.61 to 3284.53. Now, we don't have any sell orders above us. If I just show you here, nothing above us, no price above us, no red UFOs, because we're at all-time highs. So there is no price above us, meaning there can't be any sell orders being picked up there by the UFOs. So for the time being, we're having to leave this blank here because there's nothing there. Now, we had a confirmed upwards climate. We show you that here with our green arrow there on the newsletter. Now, normally, we would expect that the S&P would go up for 10 candles on a daily chart. I'm going to round up the numbers on the right, by the way. Whatever the decimal place is, I'm going to round it up. So it normally goes up for 10 candles, and we're on candle number 19. So nearly twice overextended to the upside, meaning that we've gone past what's statistically likely for a movement to the upside. Now, obviously, the further we go past what's statistically likely, the less likely it is to keep doing that. We lack probability the longer we go past what is probable, of course. So yes, we have probabilities to the upside when it comes to the climate. We have buy UFOs beneath us and no sell orders above us. Those are both signals to the upside. But we have gone past, way past, what is statistically likely for a continuous move to the upside, meaning we would expect it to be coming to an end sooner rather than later. Now, that's not to say we won't keep passing that. Of course, some things break probabilities and go outside of what's expected. We see that quite often in the markets. Unexpected things happen. But again, it's all about probabilities and statistics. So again, statistically speaking, we are lacking probabilities of a continuous move to the upside. So bear that in mind. So when it comes to volatility, what's the movement we can expect on the S&P? We look at the VIX, VIX.X. We see from that the professional opinion is that we would expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 22%. So what that means is per day or in 1 day, we would expect a movement up or down of 47.72 points. In a week, a movement up or down of 105.06 points. And in a month, a movement up or down of 218.70 points or 70 points. So that's the S&P. Let's move on to the next market. We're looking at oil at CL. That's the continuous futures contract for oil. Okay, I'm just going to move it down a little bit here so we see what we need to see. And I'm just going to unscrunch it a bit. There we go. Okay, so once again, on the bottom here, we have our Auto Climate app showing us a thick blue dot, which tells us that we're in a confirmed upwards climate, probabilities to the upside. Now, our closest stack of buy orders is literally just below us here, 43.12 to 41.46. In fact, current price at the moment that I froze the screen is 43.06. So it looks like we're inside that buy UFO at the moment. Now, we expect buy UFOs to push price upwards. So that's what we would expect in terms of a movement from this UFO, is that we'd see price move to the upside. And we have a confirmed upwards climate as well. So again, probabilities to the upside with our climate, probabilities to the upside from our UFO. Closest stack of sell orders is here, 53.83 to 55.71, which is, of course, quite a way away from where we're at right now. So on the newsletter, we see that normally oil would go up for 7 candles, once again rounding that up, and we're on candle number 2. So again, looking like we have more probabilities here to the upside. We have probabilities that climate is likely to continue, at least for the next few days. We have probabilities in our confirmed upwards climate, and we have a buy UFO beneath us. So again, lots of signals there to the upside. Again, just because something is probable or likely doesn't make it guaranteed. We still need to manage our risk just in case we're wrong, just in case unexpected things happen. But for the time being, statistical advantage is there from multiple elements to the upside. Now, when it comes to volatility, we look at OVX.X to give us the volatility for oil. And we see from that the professional expectation is a movement up or down in 1 year of 33.03%, which means a movement up or down in 1 day of 0.90 points. In a week, up or down of 1.98 points. And in a month, a movement up or down of 4.12 points. Okay, so that's oil. Let's move on to the next market, which is gold. We've got at GC here. That's the continuous futures contract for gold. Okay, just going to move it again just so we can see it properly. Okay, so in this example, on our auto climate at the bottom, we have a thick red dot. That tells us we're in a confirmed downwards climate. We have probabilities to the downside. Again, just because it's red, that's how we know that. It's a thick dot, which tells us it's confirmed. Now, closest stack of buy orders is here with our green UFO, 1836.7 to 1825.9. Closest stack of sell orders with our red UFO here, 2039.7 to 2060.8. As we can see, we are pretty much in the middle, kind of in between them, not really close to either stack of orders. Okay. Now, normally, we saw that we were in a confirmed downwards climate. We show that here. Normally, we would expect gold to go down for 5 candles, and we're on candle number 5. So we've reached what is statistically likely in terms of a continuous movement to the downside, meaning we would expect it would be more likely that the climate would turn and change direction. Although, like we saw, we're not really close to stacks of orders either way, so we don't really have buying power or selling power to push it one way or the other. So it'd be interesting to see if this climate does continue to propagate past the statistical advantage here, because we don't really have buy orders close by that could push it up. Of course, new orders come into the markets and can change things, but for the time being, we've got probabilities to the downside and kind of come to the end of where we see that could happen. So could go either way. Now, in terms of volatility, we look at GVZ.X or GVZ.X if you're American. And we see from that we expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 22.76%, meaning in a day, a movement up or down of 27.6 points. In a week, up or down 60.8 points. And in a month, up or down 126.5 points. So that's gold. We're now going to come to the last market, which is the euro US dollar. That is the spot forex currency pair there, euro versus the US dollar. Okay, once again, just going to move it a bit, might scrunch it a bit more so we see what we need to see. There we go. Okay, so in this example here, we have a thick blue dot, confirmed upwards climate, probabilities to the upside. That's what our Auto Climate app is telling us. Closest stack of buy orders is here. That's our green UFO, 1.1597 to 1.1507. Just rounded that where it needs to be with the pip. Closest sell orders up here, 1.2344 to 1.2414. Once again, just rounded that to the closest pip. And again, we can see we're kind of closer to the buy orders here, but price hasn't really done much the last few days. So again, we're just waiting for it to either come and hit the buy UFO and come back up, or potentially keep on its way up and hit the sell UFO, potentially come down from there. Now we can see we have multiple buy orders on top of each other, all one after the other. So lots of buying power underneath us here. So again, be interesting to see what happens if we do come down and hit this top one. So normally we would expect that the euro US dollar would go up for 5 candles in a row, and we're on candle number 1. So again, probabilities there for a continuous move to the upside based on statistically what normally happens. So we have a bunch of buy UFOs beneath us, we have a confirmed upwards climate, and we have probabilities of a continuous move to the upside. So again, for the time being, looks like we have multiple signals there to the upside. Again, manage our risk just in case we're wrong, just in case something unexpected happens. But for the time being, both the climate, the propagating, and the UFOs are giving us signals there to the upside. Now, in terms of volatility, we look at EVZ.X or EVZ.X, and we see that we would expect a movement up or down of 8.04% in 1 year, which means a movement up or down of 60 pips in a day, movement up or down of 132 pips in a week, and a movement up or down of 274 pips in a month. So again, the volatility figures here give us an idea of how far we're likely to see those prices move, either up or down. So the climate and the propagating then give us an idea of in which direction we're likely to see that happen, up or down. Is it going to be more likely to continue to the upside or more likely to continue to the downside? So it gives us an idea on direction. The nearest UFOs then give us an idea of where that price could turn, where we might see orders that could push price the other way and change the climate and change the direction. So we use our technology here to analyze things for us, to give us the statistical likelihoods, to help us put as many odds in our corner as we possibly can in the markets that can be so unpredictable. We want to be as probable as we can in our actions. Okay, so that's direct forces. So what I mean by that is that the most direct forces we have in the markets to push them up or down are buy orders and sell orders. That's it. That's all there is. That's what moves price, buying and selling. Of course, there can be various reasons as to why there are buy and sell orders. And so we need to understand indirect forces as well. So forces that might attract buy or sell orders. So one of the major ones that can attract buy or sell orders is, of course, news or reporting. So we look at news. The way we look at it is we go to fxstreet.com/economic-calendar. And what we do is we filter by high impact news and by US markets. So, of course, if you trade outside of that or you want to understand news that has a lesser impact or in other countries as well, then you can go to that link and change the filters there to see what fits your trade plan a bit better. But in terms of high impact news for US markets, today is the first day this week that we've had anything come out. It's a busy day. We've got in a matter of minutes, we'll have 8:30 a.m. Eastern will be when we'll have reporting coming out on durable goods and non-defense capital goods. We'll also have at 8 p.m. Eastern time, we'll also have Jackson Hole Symposium. Can't say that word properly. Some news coming out on that. Now, once the news does come out, once the figures come out, we will see under this actual column, there'll be data filled in here. Obviously, at the moment, it hasn't come out yet, so we don't see it. But once it does come out, we'll see the figure in this part of the news section here. So again, bearing in mind today, we're likely to see 8:30 a.m. Eastern, we're likely to see some volatility from high impact news. Not always, doesn't always happen that way, but again, just bear in mind, again, manage your risk as well. Be aware that that's what could happen in the markets today. Okay, so that's us done in terms of the data for today and the information. Just a reminder for those that want to join the fun, if you want to understand more about our methodology and the technology that we use, if you want to join us in futures, options, stocks, investing sessions, psychology sessions, sharpening and going over methodology sessions, and the support as well, you can join us at tradewithufos.com/you-can-trade. Now, there are many places that teach you to trade, many educational places you can go to learn, which is why we offer a free 14-day access. So you can try us out for a couple of weeks first, see if it makes sense to you, see if it fits what you want to do, and then go from there if it does. And if it doesn't, it was free to try it out. In terms of the next upcoming class, next one is a live trading plans class. I will be taking that this weekend. It is August 29th and 30th. You can learn more about it at tradewithufos.com/trading plans live. And then just a reminder, at the moment, there's also a promotion on where you can register for any course and get an additional course for free. So the second course you pick has to be of equal or lesser value than the first one. So go to the website, see what we do, see what ones suit you best, and see how you can put it together in such a way to get the most out of that deal. If you have questions on anything, not just courses, but what I've gone over today, technology, news, whatever it is, you can email us support@tradective.com. We're always happy to help. So for those of you that are joining us from within the Tradective channel, we'll see you in the futures and options sessions today. And at 4:15 p.m. Eastern, my colleague Boyan will be going through what did happen today, what went as expected, what did we see happen in the news, what can we learn from it, what was unexpected today, and how can we move forward with our trading. So that will be 4:15 p.m. Eastern that Boyan will be doing that. So hopefully we'll see you in that session too. Otherwise, I'll be back for everybody tomorrow morning to do the market overview for tomorrow. Again, if you have questions, email us. But otherwise, have a great trading day, guys. Hope your Wednesday treats you well. And I will see you.